What is up, guys? My name is Daniel McKenna. I'm the executive producer here at Thrive 15, and I also moonlight as the valet driver for the editors here. Today, we have Clay Clark sitting down with Terry Powell. We're talking about franchise funding and the 11 most common ways to get funding for your franchise. Have you heard of Terry Powell? He's kind of a big deal. Check this out. If you're looking to purchase or finance a franchise, Terry is going to lay out the most common ways that you can go about doing this. He's going to lay out all the options that you might want to consider when you're looking to get some money for your business. Here at Thrive 15, we believe that knowledge without application is meaningless, unless you take the time to learn something and then take what you learned and apply that to your life or your business. Today's lesson is going to be more meaningless than using the internet while you're on your motorcycle.
Terry, thank you for joining us, my friend.
My pleasure. Good to be here, Clay.
I have to say I'm a little bit intimidated because I know today we are talking about the 11 most common ways to fund a franchise, and I know that you have been through this literally thousands of times. So just to give the Thrivers out there a little bit of a background, how many franchises do you think that you've worked with over the years or helped? How many franchisees do you think you've helped buy a franchise over the years?
Yeah, the 30 years of working with individuals to help them become franchise owners has resulted in tens of thousands of people are now franchisees and living their dream, building income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity.
You say that like no big deal, but tens of thousands. I mean, this is like an arena of people that you've helped buy franchises and help them now live the self-employment dream. That's amazing.
It is amazing. It's been a great calling and something I'm very passionate about.
I don't know if it would how possible it would be, but I'm tempted to try to organize a Terry Powell Appreciation Day where we get all of them in one arena to see if we can pull it off. So now, when somebody wants to buy a franchise, it obviously requires capital. Mm-hmm. And from my experience, it seems as though many people, when they think about buying a franchise or starting a business at all, they're just overwhelmed by the idea of, how am I going to get the money? Mm-hmm. I don't know if I'm going to get the money. However, today we're going to talk about there's 11 ways. There's more than 11. These are like the 11 most common ways to raise capital to buy a franchise. And so we'll just kind of go through them one at a time, and I'm going to hit you up for some stories and examples and see if you can really give us some practical training and some advice on how we can do this. So the way to get franchising, or way to get funding for franchises, number one here, the most common way is direct financing. Uh-huh. Now this involves the franchise company directly financing their franchisees. So I guess it would be like if I wanted to buy a restaurant from a restaurant chain, the actual corporate office would help me get financing directly. How does that work?
Well, that's exactly right. Direct financing is where the franchisor provides some or all of the financing for a particular project with the franchisee. It's not the most common form of funding. It's not something that franchisors typically do. Okay. If they were going to do that, primarily they would look at opening company units. But there are some franchisors that have developed financing plans that are very advantageous. And getting direct funding is just a matter of qualifying to become a franchisee and take advantage of those funding options. Okay.
Now, moving on to the way of getting funding number two, I guess here, is the third-party lenders. Uh-huh. Now, many franchise companies have actually already arranged indirect financing or leasing programs for their franchisees. Can you walk me through how that works?
Yeah, the smart franchisors realize that funding is a fear factor, and it is a way of confusing candidates to get them off track from what they need to focus on, and that's getting into business. So they've systematized the funding aspect, and they've brought together approved vendors that provide loans and equipment leases and things of that nature so that the franchisee has a basis to work from. They don't require you to use them, but it really gets you, 80% of the way there pretty quickly of understanding your options. Mm-hmm. One of the challenges with funding is that too many times we wait till after the prospective franchisee is ready to get started before they start talking about funding. It's back in the mortgage days when people had to wait to go find a home and then go get a mortgage. Today you get pre-approved, then you go pick the home. In franchising today, that's really the way you want to come into it, is understand your options and be working proactively to determine what are the options for you, so that when you do find that dream business, you're ready to go.
Now, a little story time with Terry Powell here. Can you walk me through maybe an example that you can think of maybe somebody who wanted to buy a franchise desperately? They didn't think they qualified, and how maybe the franchisor or the corporate office kind of recommended them to a third party. Can you think of an example of that?
There's a lot of examples. We coach many individuals around the idea that not to put the funding first in their mind. It's because it creates a barrier. How am I possibly going to be able to come up with the capital to invest in this business or whatever business I find?
Okay.
And what we know from 30 years of experience is funding is attracted to the individual once they've found that business and they aspire to own it, rather than looking at it from the standpoint of waiting till that point. So it's a matter of just understanding that.
Okay.